Welcome to Casa de María. This is a space for writers, artists, and cultural storytellers who believe that our words carry memory, meaning, and responsibility. Here, we gather to reflect on craft, honored lived experience, and explore ethical pathways to publishing and creative growth. I am your host, Dr. Vilma Luz Cabal, founder of Casa de María Publisher, and I am grateful you are here. Welcome back to La Casa de María Podcast. This episode is called After Survival, Choosing Voice. It's about endurance, protection, and what grows after hardship. It is a conversation about what happens after the body has endured, after the immediate danger has passed, when the question is no longer, can I survive this? But instead, how do I speak from what I lived through? I'm joined today by Daisy Plaza, author of I Did It For Her, a memoir shaped by survival and by the decision to write from readiness rather than urgency. In this conversation, I asked Daisy how her understanding of her has changed over time, years after the book has been written. I ask about how a writer knows when a story is ready, not emotionally, but craft-wise, and about the discipline that it takes to shape lived experience into language that can hold others. We talk about what writing gave back to her, about what she hopes someone who is still surviving hears when they encounter her story, and about the survival, what it looks like today when it no longer is defined by just endurance, but by choice. This is a conversation about voice as an act of agency, about authorship as a step beyond survival, and about what it means to speak from the space of a survivor. I'm honored to share this conversation with Daisy, especially when we are here having this conversation inside Casa de María Publisher's headquarters in Toa Alta, Puerto Rico. Welcome, Daisy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad that you can join our audience. They probably are hearing the roosters crowing, and you had a chance to check out a figure here on the land that we spoke about in our last episode, the mango tree.
It is absolutely beautiful. It was an experience that I could not have imagined. It gives you peace and a place where you can just be able to write, relax. Something I think you guys would love to see up close.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that with our audience. I want to thank you again for coming out here. And we talked about your book and how excited I am that you're here in this journey. In episode 5, we talk about launching with care, and we showcase you as one of our authors for Grace and Boldness, Latina Voices for Change. And at that event, you're going to speak about your book, I Did It For Her. So I want to talk about the word her. Tell me a little bit more about who her is for you now.
Well, her began when I first decided to write my book was for a young girl named Erica Caban, who encouraged me to finish my book, and I kept my promise. Her now is a woman with purpose, with a voice that I am able to use to help others to find their way from abuse, a life that they do not want to have, but can choose a happier and a more peaceful life. So this her is resilient. I feel that I have more power and able to share my story in a place where I feel good about who I am now.
Perhaps you can read a portion of your book that really helps to illustrate who you are right now in this moment. Tell us the title of that chapter so we can try to find it when we get your book.
The title is Who Am I? You ask where I am now. I'm still putting it together. I've lost everything again and again and again. As for some of my family, I have learned they will not be there to help, not even during your worst times. But I'm grateful for the relationship I have with all 4 of my children. I'm now 53, living and happy and finally at peace. I am grateful to have my children that love me, and now they are there for me while I find my way. Writing my story during my worst has been the best thing that's happened to me. I know so many people who die with lies and secrets because they are afraid to say the truth or afraid to ask to be told the truth. Set yourself free by being transparent with yourself. It's the best feeling. You owe that to yourself. Who am I, you ask? Well, I am a strong woman with lots of dreams and dedication. I'm stubborn. I'm loving. I'm broken. I'm a fighter, a mother, a grandmother. Most importantly, I am me. I am an author. I am a woman with a story that I hope helps you find another way to live your life with happiness, peace, and being strong enough to stand up for yourself, to do and get what you deserve, to open new doors, but with understanding that when some stay closed, it's for good reasons. When things happen to you that you don't understand, remember to learn the lesson from it. I am resilient. Resilient is who I have become after everything I've been through. I love myself, but it took until right now to realize that. I will never let anyone ever make me question if I am enough. I have met so many people who stop me just to talk and tell me their story or about their day or even a piece of their life, and I have been able to listen with a smile. When some people might say, I don't have time, or shit, I don't know. I say, why not? I say, I always feel blessed when people come up to me and share things with me. They might have a message for you. You may even have save their life by listening. So many of us are told to just let go of our past, but that is impossible. What we should be doing is not letting it affect us in our present, learning how to live and building from it in a positive way. You have to realize this is how we become who we are.
I love that, Daisy. Thank you. Thank you for reading to us from your book, I Did It For Her by Daisy Plaza, From Trauma and Fear to Pure Love and Strength. And that is what I hear in your words, love and strength. How did you choose your title, I Did It For Her? You mentioned this wonderful young woman, Erica Caban. Tell me a little more about I Did It For Her, your title choice.
My title was for her. I felt because she is no longer here, that I wanted to give her something back. And in my title, I just woke up one day and said, I want to do this for her. How can I? And so I decided to name it I Did It For Her in the journey of I want to make sure that I remember her forever.
So writing your memoir was a place of holding memory, space for this young woman. I also see on the cover of your book a younger version of yourself, still a beautiful version today, but I could tell it was a younger version of you. So when I first picked up the book, I thought you did it for her, the younger self. So I'm so glad you tell us a little bit more about that. Very captivating title. Now, what told you that this story was ready to be written?
I think one day I just woke up and decided, well, I'll say this. After Erica's passing, 2 years later, I decided I know it's time. I felt that my story was ready to be told, and I was afraid. But I knew it was something that I had to do, not only for her, but for me. And at that point, I said, it's all or nothing. This is my time to be able to tell the story, to try to help others.
You know, one of the hardest parts, right, is in writing a book is it's just not writing the actual book. Emotionally, right, you have to step up to it. But tell me, what was the most challenging part in writing this book from a writer's craft point of view?
Did it make sense? Am I able to tell the story, but also show that at the end there's going to be a great ending? What I mean by that is I think that the journey of writing was very, very difficult. Sorry. And I understand. And one of the beauties of our time together is that it's extremely authentic. It doesn't feel contrived. And you are sitting in this moment right now with your words that it was difficult. And it makes so much sense. You know, being in a writer's chair is you curating that story for the audience. And when you're in it, sometimes it feels so myopic. It's like you're in it and it's the only thing you see. And your goal, I'm sure, as an author was to kind of pull back a bit and give a broader view. But choosing what to write, I'm sure it was very challenging. We did a webinar where we talked about memoir as a collection, not of memories, but right as a big lesson, an arc that is bringing the audience across. Can you tell me a little bit more about what were some of the things that made it hard for you to include in the memoir from a writer's standpoint? I think the hard part for me was what was important for me to be able to share, but not to hurt other people while I was writing it. Because I speak about childhood, I speak about my relationship with my mom, my grandmother, and then a relationship with a partner. I think it was very emotional, not really emotional, but just wanting to make sure the story was told correctly without offending others. But I did have to pull back and take some things out that I felt that weren't important in this story at this moment. But
wow, and that's a critical choice, Daisy. I'm glad you make that distinction, because one of the challenges for myself when I also wrote was, what do I include, as well as who is it serving? Is it really serving the reader to have a full understanding of the larger picture, or is it serving me to release it? So I really had to, it was like a dance to understand what I leave in, what I take out. And can I just encourage writers as well as yourself, when you're ready for that next book, that, that stuff gets revealed later in the draft. But in the meantime, please don't put brakes, don't pump the brakes, keep it out there, and you'll know when you have to take it out. What did writing this memoir give back to you?
it gave me power. It gave me encouragement. It gave me a feeling of I can do whatever I choose in my life, and no one can stop me. That's how I feel. I feel that in the writing, while doing this, it was also an expression of letting go, and then being able to figure out who I am right now at this moment, and what am I going to do with that? How can I use it to help other people to know that it's going to be okay? We get to choose things in our life, and it's not going to be easy, but it's definitely doable. So that voice that I get to use now is the best feeling I think I've ever had in my entire life, because I always felt like I had to be silent so that people didn't look at me a certain way or judge me. But being your authentic self is the best way to be, and it'll get you much, much further in life.
I love how I framed that question with, what did this memoir give back to you? And your almost natural response is what you want to give to others. And I love that you see this craft as an opportunity to make a contribution in the world. In that vein, I would like to ask you, what do you hope someone who is surviving hears when they read your book?
That you can make a plan, that there are outlets. There are many of us with similar stories that have survived and have a wonderful life because that's what we chose. Also hoping that you take from it that self-love is very, very important. And once you start to do that and realize you bring your own happiness, you are able to not only fulfill for yourself, but learn to maybe help others in that transition to say there is a safe space. And there are people that understand our story because they have also gone through it.
You know, we've had some conversations here at La Casa de María as we talk about a range of emotions that somehow keep us kind of trapped in fear. And one of them is shame. I think shame is a very powerful, it's a vice for many people, for survivors who are trying to find the best approach, as well as for how do I find help because they're ashamed. So I want to thank you for encouraging our listeners, if they know someone who's experiencing domestic violence, how it's a process. And one of the challenges is really pulling away at that shame. We hope that your book opens a door to be able to see that you are on the other side of this. So let's talk about not just surviving, but thriving. Tell me a little bit more about, what does survival look for you today?
Taking the world and making it mine. Knowing that the no's is just a no, but I wait for that yes. I thrive on there's nothing going to stop me. It brought me to a place where I know that I can have whatever I want in life if I work hard for it and if I want it. I think that a lot of us tend to stay stuck or stagnant in our lives and think that's what we deserve, but we deserve so much more. And there's so much more to have. So I'm hoping that this encourages many of us to look at life differently, to embrace it. And you have to also embrace the good with the bad, to be able to find your purpose and find your way.
I am so grateful that we're from the same publishing house, and we ended up crossing paths so many ways, whether it was at different venues, our events, and you invited me to partake in your events, raising awareness on domestic violence, and I want to thank you. You remind me every day what survival looks like, and I get to witness you walking with grace and boldness for this amazing change in your life. I'm a little sad that you're not going to be with us in Connecticut anymore. Can you tell us a little bit about where you are bringing I Did It For Her now?
I decided that I wanted to bring my journey, and if I can, I'm going to manifest all over the world. And my next step will be Oklahoma, a place I do know nothing about. And I'm hoping to share my story, find more women who feel like they don't have a voice, and I hope that they allow me to be their voice and to show them that this is or choosing ourselves is the way to go. I am very excited to start this new journey, and God knows where else I'm going to end up. But while I'm there, I'm going to make every opportunity and meet as many people as I can and share my story.
Well, the world is your oyster. You have broken barriers, getting on television, radio with your book, while going into prisons to talk to women, being able to speak at different venues, and joining us here at Casa de María Publisher at Yale University at the Dwight Hall Center for Public Service and Social Justice. I want to thank you today for spending time with us. I want to thank you for joining this conversation with honesty, intention, and care, and for reminding us that survival does not end the story, but begins it. How excited. It opens a new chapter, one that's shaped by voice, authorship, and choice. If you are listening and find yourself still in the midst of surviving, I want to acknowledge you. Stories like Daisy's are not offered as answers, but as companions. I want you to take what you need and leave what you're just not ready for. But I hope you can continue to join us. In our next episode, I will be shifting the focus inward to Casa de María Publisher itself. Episode 8 is called Publishing Pathways Explained. I will be walking through how our publishing model works, why we structured it the way we did, and how we think about authorship, investment, and care in a landscape that often asks writers to navigate these decisions alone. This episode is especially for writers who are curious about publication and want some clarity. Until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for honoring stories with care, and thank you for being a part of this growing community. I'll meet you in the next episode. Thank you for spending this time with me. If today's conversation resonated, I invite you to explore our free webinars, writing retreats in Puerto Rico, and our curated anthologies at Casa de María Publisher. Your voice matters. Your story deserves care. Until next time, write with intention and courage. Pen your passion. Publish your promise at Casa de María Publisher.